Blonde, that built birch body, rocking them shades of gold, always looking so savvy. Her melodic words, they flow like a river. Every line she speaks, gonna make you shiver. She's a spoken word comedian with a twist of black. Her words cut deep, ain't no going back. She's got humor like no other. She's got that charm. Her rhythm and style gonna do you some harm. Shades of gold, she's got that glow. Bleached blonde, bad built much body so bold. She'll make you laugh till your heart's content. Her melodic spoken word, it's heaven sent. She's got a bleached blonde, that built birch body, rocking them shades of gold, always looking so savvy. Her melodic words, they flow like a river. Every line she speaks, gonna make you shiver. She's a spoken word comedian with a twist of black.
What's up, visionaries?
What's good?
Welcome to another episode of Visions of Love and Relationships. I'm Tanya, and I'm joined by my wonderful husband.
Lamont,
And we hope you're doing well as usual.
as usual.
We hope your week was fantastic. As far as ours, we had a wonderful weekend. Weekend that just passed.
Yeah.
We went to a market mandate event with Dr. Darius Daniels. We got to meet the guys at Harley Initiated.
Awesome podcast. Good podcast.
Yeah, good podcast. And we also can't forget about Dr. What
Coach
now?
Rowe.
Not yet, Coach Rowe.
Coach Rowe.
That mother had us hype, boy. She had me hype. And then also she taught us how to pounce
Yeah.
and then bounce.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's what we're doing right now.
that's what we doing. And right now we feeling so excited to help you more than ever. Okay? So if you don't know Lamont and I, our mission is to bring couples from conflict to connections, giving resources and tools that, we
Empower you to transform and not transfer.
to future generations. Yeah, we don't want that. So, with that said, we're gonna give you 3 habits that'll ruin your love life if you let them.
Many times we the one that self-destruct our own relationship.
Yeah.
It's not the other person. Sometimes we be the own demise.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Now we know relationships can be deeply rewarding, but they can also bring up personal triggers that challenge us. Identifying our own triggers, the specific situations or behaviors that cause strong emotional reactions, is an important first step. These triggers often stem from past experiences and unresolved issues.
This can lead to overreaction, conflict, and that conflict will create distance in the relationship.
Absolutely.
So often we can try to beat it in our head and just really just get overreacting in situations that's not we should be reacting like that.
Right. Yeah. By becoming more self-aware of our triggers, we can learn how to manage them more effectively.
Yeah.
And that allows us to respond rather than react.
Yeah. And that's a challenge in many situations for a lot of couples because we tend to respond versus react.
Yeah. So over the course of the presentation, we're going to explore some common relationship triggers, and we're going to also discuss some strategies for handling the triggers in a healthy, productive way. This is going to help us build stronger, more fulfilling connections.
And not be self-destruct, be self-destructive in our relationship.
Understanding these triggers are very important. You know, triggers can cause intense emotional reactions in us like fear, anger, or even anxiety.
Yeah.
These emotional responses, they're often rooted in past experiences and learned behaviors.
Yeah. Learn what we learned in our family. Many times, the relationship of our family can dictate how we do our relationships when we grow up. So
Hmm.
we saw our family argue and get loud in argument, and we saw daddy storm out or mama storm out, and their relationship they didn't settle things that night. And a lot of times we can take our emotions and their when we can take on their emotions and their
Hmm.
emotional response to things, and we take that on our relationship, whether we know if it's healthy or unhealthy, we just naturally take on what we see in our relationship, and all of a sudden our relationship is just a replication of our parents the same unhealthy. Maybe we do things a little different, but we still make it unhealthy based because we only do what we see.
Yeah,
And we try to do it a little better, but if you're doing the wrong thing better, that don't make it good.
yeah. I know. I had recently read an article, and the girl who wrote the article was talking about how her 8-year-old would hear her and her husband arguing, and after a while, it was going on so long, the 8-year-old regurgitated back to her, "Oh, y'all arguing about this again," and just went
Yeah,
upstairs and went to bed.
yeah,
Like the baby was drained.
and that's crazy when kids do get to experience that because kids do experience and they feel they interpret that same emotion when they do hear their parents argue.
Hmm.
They interpret that in a way and they feel like that's how they got to argue.
Yeah,
And I remember that was one of the important things that Arsene Kamat said to us. He was like, because I saw y'all the way y'all do relationships, I know I can relate to one woman and and not be in conflict with the woman.
yeah, and that was so great to hear from our son. All right, triggers can disrupt healthy communication and relationships, and they can lead to escalated emotions and misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's important to understand our own triggers and how they impact us so we
Yeah.
can develop the strategies to manage them.
Understanding our own triggers. If we understand our own triggers, then somebody can't point out our flaws.
Right.
So that's why it's good to understand ourselves because when somebody pointed out, then we're gonna get
We're
triggered
good.
again
Yeah.
because they try to point like, oh, you've been defensive, oh, you've
Yeah.
been combative.
Yeah. Yeah. But once we know, when we understand our own flaws, we're not so
Then
defensive
when they
and
pointed
say,
out, it's
"Oh,
not.
I
Oh,
know."
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
I
gonna give
know.
you that.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see that becomes with maturity that we are to understand our own. So somebody else, when they do come at us, we are not offended, and we can't take it with constructive criticism.
Absolutely. It's important to understand our own triggers and how they impact us again so we can develop strategies to manage them. They'll help us have a more productive conversation
Yeah.
and help us maintain a stronger relationship.
Oh, better love life. We
Hmm.
won't push the person that we want to connect with away.
Right.
Because when we're emotionally unstable, we push the person that might would connect with us if the emotions was calmed down. But because we emotionally unstable, we push and we overreact and we pushing the person away instead of pulling them to us.
Mhm. Triggers can have a big impact on our relationships.
Yeah,
Triggers are events and behaviors that provoke strong emotional reactions in us. And it's often, again, rooted in past experiences.
yeah, very
Sometimes it
true.
could be a relationship
Mm-hmm.
as well as, like, childhood
Yeah.
trauma. Yeah. So when you trigger, you might react in ways that escalate conflict with our partner, even over the
Small
smallest
issues.
things, yeah, like minor issues.
Yeah, like sometimes some you could tell some people are just overreacting over just small things.
Yeah.
I know everybody got that person in their family that's like, oh, everything's just overreacting. Everything sends them over. It can be the smallest thing, and they call them the family about something small.
Yeah.
Like the little kindergarten got pushed down, and the little daughter got pushed down at school and stuff. They got the whole family over there emotionally overreacting over something small as that.
Right. You know, it's not so small to the person that's triggered.
Yeah,
That thing big.
Yeah. So,
They call everybody.
yep. And anytime, like I said, anytime we trigger, it's gonna lead to distance and disconnect in the relationship because nobody want to be around somebody who's emotionally unstable.
Yeah. That's
It's
a hard
draining
thing
for
to do.
both. It's draining for you because you draining your relationship, and
Yeah.
it's draining for the other part because they are the one that got to deal with your
Your
emotions.
emotions. Yeah. Yeah. So triggers that are not addressed can also erode the foundation of trust between partners over time.
Yeah, like being you being cheated on in a relationship, and you carrying that insecurity from relationship to relationship, and then you look into the person's phone, you asking them all, I ask them where they going and where they being and stuff. I always question them because you insecure from past relationship, and now that you gonna break the trust between that guy
Right. And not
or
only
the woman.
right. And not only in the relationship, you could be triggered again in your childhood and bring that to this
Abandonment issues,
relationship,
yeah,
abandonment
yeah,
issues.
and you think that when the person leaves, they leaving you,
Hmm.
they abandon you,
Right.
but like they say, adults don't get abandoned, adults get left.
Right.
So the man left.
Yeah, but then when you so triggered when he come home, he abandon your tail
Yeah,
because you fussing him out.
yeah, you feel like you was
Not
abandoned.
abandon your butt.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, it's important to be aware of our own triggers and work to communicate and resolve them in a healthy way. It's crucial to recognize what actually is triggering you. Our
yeah,
emotions can often be triggered by certain patterns, sensitivities, or relationship dynamics that we develop over time. So, again, it's important to start by identify these recurring emotional responses.
yeah. What situations or interactions tend to provoke stronger feelings
Right. Yeah, that's a good reflection question.
in you?
So, reflect on that. Again, what situations or interactions
Yeah,
tend to provoke strong feelings in you?
yeah, so good. Yeah,
It's a good one.
yeah.
Understanding your personal vulnerabilities and sensitivities can also help you recognize your triggers.
Yep, and like that, that's a good point because we got to understand, really express our true emotions. A lot of people use anger as the only emotions. A lot of
Hmm.
people, I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm upset. But sometimes, a lot of times, we don't be upset. We feel hurt.
Right.
We feel let down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's an extension to be vulnerable, and that comes with vulnerability to say our true feeling, not to use like anger and frustration as the only feeling that we got. There's a lot of feelings, and I think a lot of people, instead of being angry, they might feel let down,
Hmm.
used. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's expressed that we express our true emotion, the true emotional feeling, so we can recognize, like, and address it.
Right.
Not just use anger as the only feeling that we have.
Right. Because we're going to address it as anger
Yeah,
when
and it's
actually
not
we're feeling hurt.
we feeling hurt or
And
we
that's a
feeling
simple
like,
way, another way to deal with hurt than it
yeah,
is to deal with anger. So, yeah.
I'm feeling alone. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm frustrated. I'm angry because I feel alone. State the feeling, not how you feel about the feeling. And I think it's good to distinguish it too. You get what I'm
I
saying?
hear what you're
The
saying.
feeling and not how you feel about the feeling. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reflection. Here's another reflection question. What topics or behaviors tend to make you feel defensive or upset?
Yeah.
All right, so reflect on that with your partner. Also, pay close attention to any physical cues your body gives you when you're
Yeah.
feeling triggered.
Body did. It tells you.
Changes in breath, muscle tension, heart rate, all this. These bodily reactions can provide important insights to what's actually going on with your body and your triggers.
And observe
Okay, your emotions.
how your triggers play out inside a relationship when they come about. We got to
Hmm.
really get to know ourselves, because when we get to know ourselves better, we can grow ourselves.
Yep.
We can't if we don't know what we want, if we can't grow what we don't know.
Yeah.
We can't grow in the area we don't know. So it's the better we know ourselves, the more we can grow ourselves, really mature up to our full self.
Yeah, that's just like planting something, planting a seed, but you don't know what that seed is. How you gonna grow it?
How you
You don't
gonna
know
grow it?
how many times to water it.
Yeah.
You
What do
don't
you
know what.
need? The
Yeah, what?
what do you
Yeah,
need? Water? Do I need to get plant food? Because some
right.
say it's good to put plant food quite once a month.
Yeah,
You don't know that, so
right.
it's good to know yourself so you can grow yourself.
Yeah,
Food for thought.
yeah.
We
So
should have had a plant right here.
yeah, yeah, that would have been nice. But he depressed. He recognizing his trigger. Okay, so do certain dynamics with partner people tend to set you off? That's another reflection question. Do certain dynamics with particular people tend to set you off?
Yeah.
Noticing these patterns can be enlightening. All right, so the key is developing self awareness around your triggers so you can start to manage them more effectively.
I think one of the essential things and the must do things is we really got to, like I said, be vulnerable and clearly communicate our trigger point. What triggers us?
Mhm.
What makes us upset, or what makes us gives us the feeling that we're not connecting with our partner,
Mhm.
or that gets us upset. So our partner won't trigger. So we don't want to. I know our partners too. I'm sure they don't want to do things that triggers us, but they don't know what triggers us, and we don't tell them. They just
Right.
assume you just triggered by everything. But when you tell them, being open and honest and vulnerable with them, letting them know when you say that it triggers. But
Yeah.
you say what you say. What you say? One of your triggers is for me.
It's just when you when you
Lobster,
go
lobster. We got a lot of
nah,
triggers.
it's just when you go long. Like when you argue long or not argue. I'ma say like, when we having our discussions it be long.
Trigger.
Okay.
But you gotta express so your
Yeah.
partner can work on meeting you halfway.
Yeah. You would never know that you being long winded when it comes to our debates or discussions frustrated me.
Yeah.
Or is that the right word? No. Triggered.
Yeah, trigger.
Yeah, triggered me if I didn't never say nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's important. It's also equally important to actively listen to our partner's perspective to understand where they coming
Yeah,
from.
because nobody can understand where you coming from if you don't understand where I come from.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times we be in that argument, as you see, what I'm trying to say is, we
yeah,
both trying to prove what we trying to say in the argument, and we don't get nowhere.
yeah,
But you got to be, if you be the change, if you want me to receive you, you got to receive me too.
absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's the goal.
that's the goal. The goal should be a collaborative approach where we both working up together to find solutions and compromises.
And see, compromising doesn't mean you don't get what you want.
Hmm.
Compromising, we meet in the middle where we both get what we want.
Hmm. And when we compromise, it allows us to address the trigger points in a constructive way
Yeah,
rather than letting them escalate into conflict.
yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so let's discuss some strategies for managing triggered responses. When we get triggered, it's important to have strategies to manage our responses. The first
It's
strategy,
always critical.
yes, and that's to take a
Slow
deep
down.
breath. Yeah.
Calm down.
Hmm.
Calm down.
Hmm.
Do not get overreactive. Take your feelings out of the conversation.
Hmm.
I think we really need to take our feelings out of the conversation. And the first 1 minute of the conversation, take your feelings out. If I guarantee, we can take, I say, 1 minute to feel. Remember, we said 1 minute, get your feelings out, and don't be holding your feelings in until the 1 minute mark. Keep your feelings out of the conversation so you can actually hear what your partner's saying and not be ready to respond.
Hmm.
Keep your feelings out, because if somebody says something, as soon as you get emotional, you shutting down. Whether or not you might, I'm not mad, but you, what emotions step into place, you shut down. Constructive talk goes
Hmm.
out the door.
Yeah.
When
Anything
somebody
constructive.
says something, if you are emotionally offended or you emotionally triggered, constructive talk goes out the door.
Yeah.
So take a breath. Somebody say something to you, always take a breath.
Yeah.
Whether you not triggered or not, take a breath. Just okay.
Yeah. You need that 10 seconds anyway.
10 seconds, long time. Three
Yeah, but
seconds.
not for the breath. I'm just saying to take your breath and then take 10
Yeah,
seconds.
it's just
Or that
yeah.
can be part of your 10 seconds. That breath.
5 seconds. But 10 seconds is a long time. That microwave be going a long time
Yeah,
when you put
yeah,
something in the
it do,
microwave. That
but
10 seconds.
it ain't a thinking time.
Yeah, but
You need
it's
it
crucial time.
to really
It's
sit
better to pause and
sit in
reflect.
it
Yeah,
sometimes.
before you say something
Yeah,
that will damage your relationship.
yeah,
And we can't build and connect at the same time. We putting blocks on and we taking blocks off, and we're building our connection with our emotional roller coaster.
yeah, and keeping the feelings out can be hard for us, isn't it?
Yeah,
So we need about 10 seconds.
but that's why women mess up so many relationships because they feel there's too much in them.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah, you too much. Sometimes you chase a man away with your feelings because you too clingy, and he like, oh no. So you feel if you going too much and too less, you both can chase a man away.
Everything got to be balanced. It's all
Yeah,
about
it's
that
all about the
balance.
balance.
But yeah, take deep breaths. Breathing deeply can help calm us down and center us. Next, it's good to pause, like we just said. We just said
And
it.
reflect
Take a
on what
breath
happened.
and then reflect on what's happening.
Yeah,
This gives us space to process our emotions.
yeah.
Everything we
And
just said.
you could be present in the situation and not be thinking, be triggered from past situations.
Hmm.
And that's just getting grounded, putting our feet grounded, and just being present
In the
in
moment,
the
being
moment,
mindful
being mindful in the
in the
moment. That's why
moment.
we did the mindfulness challenge on our Facebook page. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people, I don't know how we do. We did it. We flopped with it, but we did it.
That's okay.
But I think people it miss the essential things with things like that, being mindful. Because if you're not mindful, then you realize that you 30, 40, 50 years old and you single and you ain't got a man and you looking for a relationship, you look for a
Yeah.
long-term relationship, then you realize that's why you're single because
Or,
you was not mindful in the time you should have been mindful. So
hmm,
that's the only thing. A lot of times we be in a situation, but because we're not mindful, the situation seems to slip away because we're not aware of the situation we're in
yeah,
and not really doing our part to make things work
yeah.
because we're emotionally triggered a lot of times.
Hmm.
Both a lot of people time we both play a part in demise and destructive of relationships, and a lot of times emotions is in the play.
Yeah. So learning how to communicate our feelings in a healthy way is always critical. Okay. Expressing ourselves openly and honestly can prevent that escalation.
Yeah,
And then finally, trying to empathize with our partner's perspective can
yeah.
help diffuse tense situations. Lamont and I also got a
The
video
video,
on YouTube
the
or
elephant.
wherever you seen this video. I think we got one on Facebook too where we
Yeah,
talked about perspectives. Make sure you check that out.
yeah.
Okay.
It's critical. It's crucial to understand your partner's
Yeah,
perspective.
and not only understand to empathize with
Yeah,
them.
like yeah, to have empathy, man. Empathy
Hmm.
is so crucial nowadays, man, because people just don't care about nobody else feelings but their own nowadays, man. So it's important for us to have empathy. Empathy is needed in the relationship.
Yeah.
Empathy brings the relationship closer and help you see your partner's perspective, and can help you defuse tension in situations. You got
Absolutely.
just be a little. Just give me a little empathy, man. Give me a little grace.
Yeah.
Give me a little grace, man. We two different perspectives. I ain't gonna get it right. You ain't gonna get it right. But ultimately, just show me a little grace, man. And I'm sure. Hopefully, I show you do the same.
Yeah. And understanding is what we need.
Yes.
Understanding where they're coming from can also lead to more constructive dialogue.
And that is why, man, I say emotional awareness is so critical to building a healthy relationship. Because what we're not aware of, we can't change. Once we
Hmm.
become aware of, it's the first step of changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And self reflection is one of the first steps. It's actually the first step. So take time to examine your own emotional responses and how they shape your thoughts and how they shape your behaviors.
Yeah, 'cause ultimately, that's going to shape the relationship that we're living in right now. And some people are not living in a relationship. You probably single,
Yeah.
but ultimately, we got to realize that your thoughts and your behaviors are shaped by your emotions.
Yeah. So next, you want to work on naming your emotions. That's important.
Yeah,
Sort of like what you were talking
yeah.
about earlier, because we get
Everything
so
can't be
confused
angry. Yeah.
on what we're actually feeling.
And it's something y'all can check out to go deeper in, to actually get more of the feelings. Because I know just because we're adults, we still don't know everything. Everybody take their childhood relationship and bring it to adult, and we think that's the way it is. I understand it, but I think we live in a generation where you can get the information if you seek the information. So one of the things that we can go to check out to better know your emotions and feelings is called the feedback wheel.
Hmm. That's a nugget. Yeah. So being able to identify and label what you're actually feeling can help you better understand and manage those emotions. And that feedback wheel that my baby talking about is really gonna give you a heads up, a head start on identifying them emotions. Okay. So finally, you want to practice acceptance. Acknowledge your emotions without judging them as good or bad.
Yeah.
All emotions are valid and they serve a
Yep.
purpose.
Everybody can be emotional at times, yeah. But it's the people that don't let their emotions get the best of them that go out here and create healthy relationships.
Mhm. Developing this emotional awareness, again, will improve your self understanding, empathy,
Yeah.
and ability to navigate complex interpersonal situations.
Yeah. We got to understand that trust is the foundation of a healthy relationship. And that's about being open and vulnerable with our partner.
Mhm.
We got to show our partner the vulnerable side of us. And what I was telling you the other day,
I need to be more vulnerable.
because if we're not vulnerable, the opposite of vulnerable is guarded, defensive,
Mhm.
walled off. So if we're not vulnerable in a relationship, then our partner can't truly get to know us. All they're seeing is this defensive side of us, the side that we want them to see. If you take our course, we got a mini course coming out. Probably be ready next week, I hope. But we got a mini course coming out, and like I said, one of the things in there is showing you the different sides of people that everybody got. So when you're not being vulnerable, you showing is the person, the side of you that you want them to see. You don't say, I don't want you to get intimate with me. I
Mhm.
want you to stay at a distance as much as I want you to see of me. I don't want you to see my flaws.
Yeah. So break down that intimacy. I don't want you to see
Into me, my
intimacy.
all I want you to see. Most people, I know, all we want the person to see is our mate or the one we in love with, or the one we think in love with, is the best side of us.
Mhm.
But that's not gonna grow the relationship. That's gonna keep the relationship on the surface level.
Yeah.
Your partner
You need to
needs to
see the
see.
flaws too.
They need to see the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And then you say, accept me for who I am.
Mhm.
Then you could say, accept me for, because I can only accept you. I like this part, but then when I get to know the part that you've been hiding from me, I don't
Mhm.
like that part. And that's because we don't be open and vulnerable in the relationship.
Yeah. And let me just go back to that course, that mini course, because that mini course you forgot a key thing to say.
I ain't
It's
gonna take
free.
you. Yeah, but yeah. It's gonna be free. Yeah,
It
but
is
I'm gonna take
free.
it. We still work. Well, it
Yeah, we
might be.
still working on it, but yeah, we got that mini course
Yeah,
coming, and it's
well, the
free.
link don't be there, but the actually thing video, the mini course will be ready probably Monday. I'm trying
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah, so we're pushing for Monday. All right. So empathy again, we can't express this enough. That's why we keep saying it. Empathy is crucial. Really understanding and validating your partner's experiences and feelings. Okay. It's very important. It's also very important to set clear boundaries, respecting each other's needs and limits. The relationship should be a continuous journey of growth and improvement for both partners. Because if you ain't growing, you what?
Dying or
You
you
dying or
stagnated,
you stagnated.
and
And ain't none of
it
that
ain't
good.
nothing that good, man. And like I said, we going on 20 years of marriage, but we still learning each other. Because
Yeah.
every phase, there's a different phase of life. As long as you still growing, then you still as long as you still going, you still
Yeah.
growing. And but you could be stagnated and
Dying.
dying in a
Yeah.
relationship too.
Yeah.
If you keep being emotionally unstable.
Yeah. Mm. Ultimately, we know that what is not transformed will be transferred
Yeah, to the
to
next
future
generation.
generations.
Yeah,
And we don't want that. We can't
yeah,
say that enough.
yeah. Because as we see out here in these streets, these kids they doing what they practicing what we taught them in the house.
Hmm.
And it kills me to see people like parents. We wonder why these kids out here doing all this stuff in the streets. A lot of times it's just learned behavior from the house. What they doing is just amplifying what we learn. We see a mommy and daddy be emotionally unstable. We see mommy always arguing with her friends or them, so they out there, them kids out there just amplify. Now we emotionally unstable kids out here
Yeah,
with
or
easy can access a gun.
yeah, or mommy always gave it to me. I ain't getting it out here in the world, so I'ma take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. Now you got this little kid out here with a gun,
Hmm.
emotionally unstable, and out here demonstrating what mommy and dad on an amplified version of what
Hmm.
I've been learned around my mommy and daddy of
Yeah,
how to handle conflict.
yeah,
We didn't know how to handle it. we emotionally every time conflict or little things conflict that we see our family got outrageous and that person we start arguing and cussing and everything was outrageous. So we got a gun now, so I'm gonna do the same thing except I ain't gotta do all that arguing. I just pop a dude,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And so if us as adults, as the leaders of the community, can't get it right, then we can't expect the kids to get it right because all they're gonna do is keep amplifying what we're showing them. We showing them the in-house version between man and girl, then they going out there doing on the street version, which is bigger, as we can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And mostly kids, unstable kids out here running the streets with guns.
That's right, baby. We definitely gotta be the change that we see.
If we want change and the out in our kids and running these streets out here, just in our family and the generations to come,
Mm-hmm.
then we got to be the change we see.
Yeah.
We got to start showing healthy emotional regulation.
Yeah.
So we won't be so all out of control. And emotions just like
Yeah.
can mess up.
Yeah.
Emotions is messing up all these relationships out here. It's just emotions, yo. If we can control it, I think we're gonna be better. We're gonna things will get better in our family if we can start controlling emotions
Yeah.
and show them healthy emotions that we're not overreacting to anything. We're not reacting to outside things, and we control our own self and not outside things controlling us.
Yeah, so if your kid's grown, let's get started with the
Hmm?
grandkids.
Yeah,
Alright. And this, we hope you enjoyed. We
yeah.
hope you were able to get some value. If you was, be sure to share it, like, comment, subscribe,
Follow us wherever you're at.
follow us wherever you're at. This has been another episode of Visions of Love and Relationships. They had vision, and together they built the life they love. Go build.